How do you build an app on a budget? What if you're committed to your app vision, but you have to keep costs low? Where do you start? Hello and welcome. My name is Dale Richards, CEO of App Creative, an app development company on the Silicon Slopes of Utah. We're on a mission to build apps that change the world. If you want to build apps, grow your SaaS business, and make money doing cool software entrepreneur-related stuff, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell. When it comes to the price of app development, there are things that you can do to slightly lower the price. If that happens to be you, I want to help you, but I'm also going to be realistic and honest with you. So, for better or for worse, app development is expensive, and that's just a fact. If you're overly conservative with your money, app development might not be the right thing for you. So, I've said it. There isn't much that I can do to help if you are not willing to take some risks. And for those of you who are willing to take risks, willing to do what it takes to make an app, here are some insights that I hope will be helpful. So one is to do app development right. There's a right way and a wrong way to build an app. Building an app is much like building a house. You can play around with some of the levers to alter the price, but ultimately you still need a foundation, walls, a roof, and an interior. And if you decide to go with a cheap foundation, chances are it might crack. Your roof could collapse, your pipes might burst. Yes, you can do some things yourself, like paint the house or lay your own tile, but for other things, it would be smart to just trust a professional and spend the money. So how much should you be prepared to spend on app development? I would say the absolute lowest that you should be willing to go is $20,000. Anything less won't be enough to cover a viable, scalable, functional app. And even then, scalable is kind of up for debate. We charge over $3,000 just to do the requirements definition. And if you're not ready or willing to spend $3,000 to start the process, then you're not ready to build an app, period. So a couple other things. You can find loopholes in app development. Yes, if you're really limited to less than $20,000 and your app experience is pretty basic, there's some really good non-code or no-code options out there, like Bubble.io, that will let you build deployable apps by using ready-made components. This can be a great solution for simple app concepts with basic features. You may still need to have someone code in some of the integrations with other systems like Stripe or QuickBooks, but even a lot of those common integrations are available with Bubble.io out of the box. Although no code options are getting more sophisticated, you might not be able to scale an app like this and do everything that you really want to do. However, this is an extremely viable option if you are aiming to keep costs down. After your no-code app is running and making money, then you can use that cash to build out your own next generation product. So when taking things into your own hands, with everything considered, if you really had to cut down the costs as much as possible, but still create the best app you could, here's some things that you could do. First, learn everything you can for free, or as close to free as possible. So study user story writing, requirements gathering, UX design concepts, watch videos, attend webinars, read books, ask other software entrepreneurs about their experience. There are a lot of resources out there, like this channel or the articles on our website. So with your newfound knowledge, you could also then write your own user stories and then pay an experienced analyst to review them. Or, if you happen to have connections or favors, reach out to those people, to that analyst friend of yours, and you can ask that person to review your user stories, maybe as a favor or for a modest fee. Find some way to return the favor and add value to that person. After all, what goes around comes around. With the user stories done, try your hand at drawing your own wireframes. So make basic depictions of the different screens in your app. Be careful not to spend too much time here, otherwise you might develop analysis paralysis and get stuck. So that's kind of like the analyst version of writer's block. Draw out the screens and buttons that a user would need to complete their journey through the app. And try to get it done in one day. When it's finished, set it aside, come back to it every so often, revise it. While you're away, you can think through your ideas to make sure that they flow. And don't only think through the positive cases, think about the negative scenarios as well. What happens if something goes wrong or if someone can't get what they need done in your app? Get as much done as possible so when it comes time to meet with a UX designer, you can show that person all that you've done. And after seeing all that you've already created and written up, then they might be impressed and be more willing to come down in price. Next, you'll want to pay an experienced UX designer to create your high-fidelity, full-color mockups. Use their experience to catch the things that you missed. If you work with a mediocre UX designer, then be prepared for a painful, longer than necessary engagement, because the developers are going to struggle with the things that were not fully thought through. money spent on UX design is a great investment. Find an experienced senior developer who is passionate about your app concept and can agree with you on a fixed price basis. This is another one of those things that you don't want to cheap out on. Lock in your pricing as early as you can, but you can only do this if your requirements and designs are really well done. If you can, have the same person build both the front end and the back ends of your system. They may be willing to give you a volume discount if you give them more work. Coming to the close of the app development process, you're going to need to begin testing the app. Now, I'm a little bit hesitant to tell you to test it yourself because there are some obvious downsides to DIY software QA. Like, you probably won't test as many scenarios as a professional would. You may not have as many devices as the tester would have, making you unable to test different variables like devices, operating systems. And lastly, it will be quite time-consuming. Testing software takes a lot of time. If you do decide to do this yourself, study up on software testing techniques. You can do most of the functional testing yourself by basically using the app and logging bugs. In that regard, functional testing is kind of like laying your own tile in the house. You don't have to have special credentials to do it. It might be fun for some or torture for others. If we're being honest, unless you have experience as a software tester, someone else would probably do a better job than you. But of all the things to cut out of your budget and put in sweat instead, testing would be the one. There are other types of software testing like unit testing, integration testing, and performance testing. So to learn more about these, read The Entrepreneur's Guide to Software Testing. Some don'ts of lowering app development costs. Let's talk about what not to do. So some thou shalt nots when squeezing the most from your app development budget. There are 4 things that you should know. Do not select the lowest bid just to get the lowest price. Do not go offshore just because it is cheaper. Do not work with inexperienced developers, and do not do all of the UX design yourself. To learn why you should avoid these 4 points, check out this article, Things to Watch Out For When Requesting Software Development Quotes. App development is expensive, and it's a long process. But if you do it right, it doesn't need to break the bank, so to speak. Learn all that you can, invest in good professionals, be prepared to spend money and make mistakes. Do whatever it is that you need to, but whatever you do, don't let go of your mission to change the world. It'll be worth it. See you next time.